What if the person who drives you absolutely crazy at work, your sworn office nemesis, the one who makes your eye twitch just by, existing in the same airspace, what if they were secretly, truly, deeply in love with you? And what if, beneath all that friction, all those sparks flying, you felt something stirring too, something you definitely weren't ready to admit? Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are plunging headfirst into the compelling, often hilarious, and surprisingly insightful world of Sally Thorne's The Hating Game. And this isn't just, another beloved romantic comedy. It's really a masterclass in building tension, delivering razor-sharp banter, and charting the beautiful, messy unraveling of personas. We've got a fantastic, detailed summary of the story to work from. It's rich with plot points, character insights, thematic breakdowns, all the good stuff. Our mission today, to unpack all of this, to go way beyond the surface level attraction and really understand the intricate dance of perception versus reality, that crucial journey of self-worth, and the profound emotional vulnerability that makes this book such a phenomenon. We're going to explore exactly what makes this particular enemies to lovers story resonate so deeply with so many readers. We'll look at the plot, the fascinating evolution of the characters, and the subtle, sometimes surprising ways it reveals deeper truths about human connection.
It really is a fascinating case study. Because, yeah, on the surface, it's a classic romantic comedy setup, right? But when you dig into it, the emotional layers are incredibly well developed. It's not just about two people falling in love. It's about why they had to go through this adversarial dynamic first. What does that tell us about how we protect ourselves? Especially in professional environments where perceived weakness can feel like a real liability.
Right. And this idea of losing a game, this whole structured conflict they have to gain something much greater, like love it, really encapsulates their journey. So let's delve into how that rivalry first kicked off. Let's set the stage for this epic workplace dynamic. Okay, so the story introduces us to our two central figures, Lucy Hutton and Joshua Templeman. And their immediate kind of combustible world within this newly merged publishing house, Bexley and Gammon. Lucy is described as sweet, quirky, utterly charming. She's the assistant to one of the co-CEOs. And you immediately get this sense of her warmth, her initial persona. Maybe a bit of a people pleaser, full of this unique, almost whimsical spirit. She wears vintage clothes, secretly adores Smurfs. She brings this vibrant, slightly out-of-place energy to the very buttoned-up corporate world.
And then, positioned literally directly across from her, sharing an office space, is her polar opposite, Joshua Templeman. He's the assistant to the other co-CEO. Tall, serious, incredibly rule-following, meticulously organized. You get the picture. His whole demeanor is rigid, controlled, almost intimidatingly so. Imagine a guy who not only color codes his pens, but probably, judges you for not doing the same.
Oh, definitely.
And their desks are facing each other. It creates this immediate, unavoidable, frankly, kind of claustrophobic confrontation, this forced proximity, combined with these starkly contrasting personalities.
Well, it's the perfect volatile cocktail for conflict, isn't it?
It's the perfect crucible for their relationship, yeah. And this proximity immediately gives birth to what Lucy calls the hating game. And it's not just a casual dislike, right? It's a daily, intricate routine, petty mind games, loaded, sarcastic remarks, constant one-upmanship. It's almost like a competitive sport they invented just for each other, keeping score in their heads. That's a great way to put it. The book gives such brilliant examples. There's the staring game, literally trying to outstare each other across the office, a battle for dominance. Then the mirror game, subtly mimicking each other's movements. It's this passive-aggressive, often infuriating mockery. If Lucy crosses her arms, Josh subtly does the same moments later.
So annoying.
Totally. And of course, the passive-aggressive emails. A true art form in workplace animosity, right? Often sent late at night, filled with these thinly veiled barbs disguised as professional correspondence. These aren't just childish antics, they're meticulously executed strategies. And this is where it gets really interesting, psychologically speaking. These games, they seem childish, but they actually function as this highly effective form of proactive self-protection for both of them. For Lucy, who struggles with confrontation, who has this deep need to be liked, engaging in the hating game is a way to set boundaries against someone who clearly intimidates her. It's a mechanism, to feel like she has some control when she's sharing space with someone so imposing. It keeps them from getting too close, maybe hurting her. And for Josh, it's an active way to control the narrative of their relationship, dictating the terms of engagement, preventing the messiness of genuine connection. He's constructing this predictable adversarial reality because the unknown vulnerability, that's far more terrifying for him. So they're both using these dynamics to maintain distance, keep each other at arm's length in this high-pressure environment. Because sincerity, That might be seen as weakness. It's actually a very common human behavior when faced with something overwhelming or unfamiliar.
It's such a fascinating paradox, though, isn't it? Despite all the bickering, all the deliberate attempts to annoy and undermine each other, their entire day, their entire focus is on one another. Even hating can be this profound form of deep engagement. It requires an incredible amount of attention, observation, mental energy, all directed at the other person. You can't play the staring game if you're not deeply aware of where the other person is looking. You can't send those emails if you're not constantly watching their actions, their reactions, trying to predict their next move. It's almost like a twisted, intense form of intimacy, even if it's born out of animosity.
It truly is.
Yeah.
And that intense focus, that constant awareness of the other, that's precisely what creates this undeniable, almost electric undercurrent of sexual tension. Despite all the declared hatred, the reader immediately picks up on this simmering chemistry. It's the subtext that screams louder than their verbal jabs.
Yeah, it's clear this isn't just animosity. There's something else there. So, how does Thorne build that simmering tension? How does it become the perfect foundation for an enemies to lovers story, even when the characters are actively fighting it? And how do we as readers pick up on this? Because it's not like they're exchanging longing glances, they're exchanging glares.
Well, the psychological appeal of this tension is huge, and it's really a cornerstone of the trope. The idea is that strong negative emotions often mask equally strong, unacknowledged positive ones. When two people are so intensely focused on each other, even negatively, there's this inherent energy, right? A push-pull dynamic that feels like a precursor to something more. And for the reader, the key is that we're privy to Lucy's first-person inner monologue. That changes everything. We see her conflicted reactions, her physical responses to Josh. Even when she's outwardly expressing annoyance, she might describe his infuriating habits, sure. But her internal narrative also notes his, impressive physique, his intense gaze, the way his dark suit fits him just right.
Right, those little details slip in.
Exactly. This duality is a clear signal that something else is at play. Her body is reacting even when her mind is still processing hatred. And for the characters, that constant engagement, even through animosity, means they're learning an incredible amount about each other. Habits, weaknesses, strengths. Without consciously realizing they're building this foundation of deep, if initially unacknowledged, understanding. It's a very human tendency, I think, to project strong emotions, even negative ones, onto someone who truly affects us. Indifference is far less potent than dislike. It's like their brains were playing catch-up to what their bodies already knew.
That's a fantastic point. And this high-stakes game they're playing, it's about to get even higher. Okay, so picture this already simmering office rivalry, fueled by these bizarre mind games, this undeniable, unspoken tension, and suddenly, a bombshell drops. A single chief operating officer, COO, promotion is announced, and of course, both Lucy and Josh are candidates.
Oh, this is such a pivotal moment, isn't it? The stakes just escalate dramatically. Their game, which was already deeply personal, now transforms into a direct professional rivalry with real career implications. It's no longer just about annoying each other. It's about a potential career-defining move for both of them. A promotion that would undoubtedly change their professional trajectory, their daily interactions, everything. And this external pressure is crucial because it forces their dynamic to evolve. The hating game as they knew it. It becomes less sustainable when a tangible, significant goal like a COO position is on the line. The sort of frivolous nature of their petty animosity starts to crack under the weight of genuine ambition. And the pragmatic need to truly understand their competitor, who also happens to be their coworker, in very tight quarters.
Yeah, you can't just play games anymore.
Exactly. It adds this layer of seriousness that demands a different approach, even if they initially resist it. It pushes them out of their comfort zone of predictable antagonism. It forces them to see each other not just as rivals, but as serious contenders, each with their own strengths and weaknesses.
And just when you think the tension can't get any thicker, a truly crucial turning point happens. Lucy, after being ill for a bit, actually faints in the office. It's a moment of profound, involuntary vulnerability for her. Completely outside the controlled environment of their usual sparring. She's literally disarmed. And Joshua's reaction, it's utterly shocking, completely out of character based on what we know. He's described as surprisingly caring and gentle. Instead of, stepping over her or making a sarcastic remark, he immediately takes charge, takes her home, and tends to her with this quiet, efficient kindness. For Lucy, this single act of compassion, this unexpected tenderness, it just shatters her existing perception of him. How does a moment like this, so unexpected, so raw, immediately dismantle everything she thought she knew about him? It's like the entire foundation of their hating game just crumbled.
This is precisely what we mean by a crucial moment of perception versus reality. and is placed so expertly in the narrative. This is the first significant, undeniable crack in Joshua's carefully constructed facade. Up until this point, Lucy in Us, through her eyes, has seen him as rigid, cold, almost robotic, a man devoid of genuine human emotion. But in a crisis, his true, compassionate nature shines through. It's an instinctive reaction that bypasses his usual carefully maintained barriers. It's a testament to the power of authentic, unscripted human response. This moment of vulnerability on Lucy's part, her illness, it surprisingly opens a door to a deeper connection. When someone is unwell, defenses are lowered, right? And true concern is often difficult to mask. For Josh, it's an instinctive reaction revealing the depth of his character, proving he's not just a walking rulebook. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes it's in our weakest moments that others see our strength, and vice versa. It allows for a connection that wouldn't have been possible otherwise. It sets the stage perfectly for Lucy to question everything she's assumed about him, and for Josh to subtly reveal who he actually is beneath the surface.
And once those walls start to crack, it's incredibly difficult to put them back up, isn't it? Because what follows is this series of emotionally layered, often pretty steamy encounters that completely redefine their relationship, pushing them further and further away from their old game. And the very first of these truly defining moments is that now legendary steamy elevator kiss. It's charged with so much unspoken emotion, so much pent-up tension from months of hating. What an impact this kiss has on Lucy. It forces her to question everything she thought she knew about the relationship, and more importantly, about her own feelings for him. It's physical, yes, but the internal earthquake it causes is even bigger, shaking her very understanding of herself and her perception of Josh.
It's absolutely pivotal. The significance of physical intimacy here is as a powerful catalyst for emotional revelation. Up until this point, their dynamic was primarily intellectual and verbal. The games, the banter, the passive aggression, this kiss. It's nonverbal communication that bypasses all their usual defenses. It's raw, instinctive, undeniable. It serves as a true point of no return for their dynamic. Once that line is crossed, the hating game simply cannot exist in the same way.
Right.
The physical connection validates that unspoken undercurrent that's been there all along. It forces both of them to confront the truth of their mutual attraction and the deeper feelings that attraction hints at. It's almost like a dam breaking, letting out all the emotional pressure that's been building for months. It forces them to acknowledge that their animosity was perhaps just a mask for something much, much stronger.
And just when Lucy is reeling from the kiss, another surprising encounter peels back yet another crucial layer of Joshua Templeman, an unexpected visit to his childhood home. This is where we get a truly profound revelation that completely recontextualizes his character. Lucy learns that Josh isn't cold or robotic like she thought. Instead, he's revealed to be guarded, deeply hurt, and profoundly misunderstood.
This is absolutely critical to understanding him and, by extension, his initial behavior. We learn his controlled nature, his fear of rejection, his tendency to put up walls. It's directly connected to his background, a strict father, and what's clearly implied to be a history of emotional neglect. When you grow up in an environment where showing emotion is seen as weakness, or where your attempts at connection are met with indifference or harshness, well, you learn to protect yourself by closing off.
Makes sense.
Josh built these elaborate emotional fortifications, not because he's inherently unfeeling, but because he was taught, implicitly or explicitly, that vulnerability leads to pain. This visit gives Lucy the why behind Joshua's initial, seemingly hostile behavior. It transforms him from a one-dimensional antagonist into this complex, sympathetic character. It explains his meticulousness, his rigid adherence to rules, his need for control, his seemingly distant demeanor. They're survival mechanisms against a world that, for him, felt unpredictable and emotionally unsafe. It's a fundamental shift in perception for Lucy and for us, too.
It adds such incredible depth and nuance to Joshua's character, doesn't it? It completely moves him beyond being a simple villain or just a rival. You start to see the wounded boy behind the impenetrable professional facade, and it makes you understand his actions in a completely different light. You almost want to, reach out and give him a hug after that. This is where the emotional intelligence of Thorne's writing really shines.
And that leads directly to the pivotal discovery that Josh has had feelings for Lucy all along. This is the ultimate aha moment for both Lucy and the reader. His coldness wasn't true indifference or malice. It was simply a defense mechanism, a carefully constructed persona he developed to survive in a corporate world that, as he perceived it, values power, ruthlessness, almost brutal efficiency over sincerity and genuine connection. He believed that showing any form of affection or personal interest would be exploited, a weakness to be leveraged against him. This is such a key moment for understanding the emotional vulnerability theme. It's a powerful illustration of how people create these elaborate personas, these defense mechanisms, in environments where sincerity might be seen as a weakness or a liability. In a highly competitive workplace, showing your true feelings, especially tenderness or affection, can feel like handing your opponent a weapon.
Yeah, I can see that.
Josh learned to equate vulnerability with potential harm, so he chose to project an image of unshakable control and cold efficiency. His hating game was, in a twisted way, his armor. It was his desperate attempt to keep Lucy close, but at a safe distance where he wouldn't get hurt.
And what does this reveal about miscommunication and assumptions in relationships? Especially when they're formed in a competitive setting. We're so quick to judge based on surface-level interactions, aren't we? To assume the worst when often it's just someone else's carefully constructed shield. It really makes you think about all the times we might misinterpret someone's defensiveness for outright animosity, projecting our own fears or experiences onto their behavior.
Exactly. It highlights how much of our perception of others is filtered through our own experiences and insecurities. Lucy was just as guilty of making assumptions about Josh, even if her assumptions were born from his own defense mechanisms. And as Lucy's perception of Joshua changes, the narrative expertly pivots to her own parallel internal struggle. She has to confront her own feelings and insecurities now that she knows his true feelings and the full weight of her own attraction. Her internal questions become incredibly important. Can she truly trust his affection after all the games? Is it real or just another trick? And crucially, can she step into her own power and confidently take the job she deserves? Or will her long-standing desire to be liked prevent her from fully owning her ambition and stepping into a role that demands assertiveness? This highlights Lucy's parallel journey of self-worth and confidence. She needs to move past her obsession with being liked and embrace her own capabilities and their ambition. Her professional growth is intrinsically intertwined with her personal revelation about Josh. She can't truly embrace love until she embraces herself and understands her own value beyond pleasing others.
It's a beautiful reciprocal arc, isn't it? They both have to shed their games and embrace their true selves together and individually. And this all culminates in a truly satisfying climax that pays off all that slow burn tension. Right? The narrative builds to this incredible climax at a crucial company event. Lucy delivers this confident, polished pitch, genuinely impressing leadership. You can feel the shift in her, her growth, her newfound assertiveness. How empowering is this moment? It really showcases her arc about learning self-confidence and finally owning her ambition, rather than just trying to be the nice girl who doesn't ruffle feathers. She's not just a charming assistant anymore, she's a force to be reckoned with.
This moment for Lucy is the external manifestation of her profound internal transformation. She's not just pitching a project, she's pitching herself, fully and authentically. She's finally using her voice, her intelligence, her vision without apology. It shows she has indeed moved past her struggle with confrontation and her obsession with being liked. She's learned that being confident and capable is far more valuable than being merely agreeable. And her success here isn't just a professional win, it's a deeply personal triumph, demonstrating her newfound self-worth. It's a moment of pure, unadulterated strength for her, where she fully steps into her own power.
And then, the truly astonishing moment, Joshua's sacrifice. He turns down the promotion. And this isn't because he doesn't want it or because he feels he's not capable. We know he's brilliant. It's because he knows Lucy needs to prove something to herself more than he needs the title. He realizes that for her, this job isn't just a promotion. It's an affirmation of her self-worth, a symbol of her independence and capability.
This decision is profoundly significant, and it really cements his character as utterly captivating, doesn't it? It's the ultimate act of true love and support. Josh is prioritizing Lucy's growth and self-actualization over his own ambition, his own professional advancement. For a character who has been so defined by his control and his drive, this act of stepping back, of putting someone else's needs above his own deeply ingrained desires, it's a powerful demonstration of how much he loves her. It's not about being a martyr. It's about understanding what she needs to fully become herself and recognizing that his love means supporting that, even if it means foregoing something he himself desires. It solidifies his character not just as a love interest, but as someone who genuinely cares about her well-being and her journey. Someone who understands her on this deeply intuitive level is an act of profound selflessness that completely redefines his character.
And with that, the games are finally, completely irrevocably over. Lucy and Josh finally drop the games, acknowledging the truth of their feelings, not just to each other, but to themselves. The emotional shields they've so carefully maintained finally clatter to the ground.
And Lucy's realization in the final chapters is the perfect synthesis of all the themes we've discussed.
Hmm.
Hating Josh was never real. It was always a shield, a protective mechanism. They were never truly enemies. They were just two lonely people pretending not to care, because caring made them vulnerable.
Wow.
This perfectly ties together the themes of perception versus reality, emotional vulnerability, and the ultimate triumph of authentic connection. It validates the deliberate, slow-burn approach of the narrative, proving the emotional payoff is so much richer because of the arduous journey they've taken. Their animosity was merely a symptom of their shared fear of vulnerability, not a true reflection of their feelings for one another. It's the ultimate triumph of sincerity over superficiality.
That's such a universal truth in this conclusion. It highlights how often our fear of vulnerability or fear of getting hurt masks the deep, profound longing for connection. We build these walls, we play these games, convinced we're protecting ourselves, when in reality, we're just delaying the very thing we crave most: genuine, unadulterated connection. It's a powerful message woven into a fantastic romance that really makes you reflect on your own behaviors. So we've walked through the narrative, felt the tension, witnessed the transformation, but let's truly deconstruct the elements that make The Hating Game such a runaway success and a beloved story. It's more than just a good plot. It's about meticulously crafted characters and themes that resonate on a deeper level.
Absolutely. Let's revisit our main characters, because their individual depths are what make this story so compelling. Lucy Hutton, our relatable heroine. She's charming, yes, but also delightfully messy, deeply emotional, full of warmth. But what makes her so engaging are her struggles, her almost obsessive desire to be liked, and her genuine difficulty with confrontation, which she often tries to compensate for with excessive sweetness. These aren't just quirks, they're integral to her journey of self-discovery. Her love for vintage clothes, her quirky collection of Smurfs, yes, really, miniature blue creatures. They're fantastic, endearing details that immediately make her feel incredibly authentic and accessible. A vivid personality you can almost see bustling around the office.
Her inner monologue is really the star here, isn't it? Because we're in her head for the entire book. We get full access to her hilarious, often anxious, internal thoughts. It's this unfiltered access to her relatability and her flaws, her internal anxieties, her self-deprecating humor, her moments of doubt that truly makes her such an engaging protagonist. You're rooting for her not just to get the guy, but to truly grow into her own power, to embrace her quirks and her ambition. It's a masterful use of first-person narration.
And then we have Joshua Templeman, who has become, really one of the most iconic book boyfriends in recent romantic comedy history. He starts off as this controlled, intense, rigid exterior, the epitome of the stern, unapproachable professional. But we slowly discover he's secretly thoughtful, deeply caring, incredibly protective, particularly of Lucy. His background is key here: that strict father, the emotional neglect. These experiences taught him a profound fear of rejection and a deep-seated belief that emotions equate to weakness, which is why he put up those formidable walls. He learned to be self-sufficient and emotionally guarded because relying on others had caused him pain in the past. He was deeply in love with Lucy for a long time, even before she realized it. But he simply didn't know how to show it in a healthy, open way. He resorted to the hating game as his flawed, indirect way of engaging with her, of keeping her close, even if it was through animosity. He saw the world as a place where showing sincerity was a weakness, so he armored himself against it. He's considered so captivating precisely because of this hidden kindness, his profound vulnerability that he eventually reveals, and his ultimate sacrifice. He isn't just a strong, silent type. He's a deeply wounded individual who learns to love openly, whose actions, like turning down the promotion for Lucy, are powerful because they go against his deepest learned behaviors, proving the depth and authenticity of his feelings. It's the contrast between his intimidating exterior and his soft, vulnerable interior that makes him so irresistible.
It's those layers that make them so appealing, isn't it? But beyond the characters, the themes in The Hating Game are executed with such meticulous detail and emotional precision. Let's talk about enemies to lovers. We know it's a classic trope, enduringly popular, but how does Sally Thorne make it work so well? With such emotional intelligence and slow burn perfection, what are the essential ingredients for a truly successful rendition of this trope, and how does Thorne elevate it?
Well, the enduring popularity of enemies to lovers, I think it lies in the inherent tension and the immense satisfaction of seeing two people overcome significant obstacles, often their own preconceived notions and internal biases, to find profound love. It promises a powerful emotional journey of discovery. For a truly successful rendition, like The Hating Game, the ingredients are meticulously combined. First, there must be genuine, believable animosity. Not just petty, but deeply rooted in misunderstandings, personal histories, or defense mechanisms. Second, constant proximity that forces interaction, ensuring they can't escape each other.
The shared office.
Exactly. Third, an undeniable underlying chemistry that the reader can feel from the start, even if the characters actively deny or fight it. Fourth, a series of cracks or moments of vulnerability that force perception shifts, slowly dismantling their initial assumptions, like the fainting incident. And finally, a deliberate, slow burn, allowing the emotional truth to unfold organically rather than rushing to a superficial attraction. Sally Thorne nails all of these, particularly the emotional intelligence in showing why they act the way they do, rather than just presenting it as a convenient plot device. She gives their animosity a profound psychological grounding.
And that leads perfectly into the theme of perception versus reality, which, as we've discussed, is absolutely central. The entire narrative hinges on both characters misinterpreting each other until they finally dare to look closer. How does the first-person POV, specifically Lucy's perspective, enhance this theme for the reader? Because we're seeing everything through her eyes, filtered through her assumptions and sometimes her delightful biases.
It's incredibly effective. By telling the story entirely from Lucy's first-person point of view, the reader experiences her initial biased perception of Joshua as reality. We're as surprised and enlightened as she is when his true character is revealed. This makes the perception versus reality theme deeply personal and immersive. We're privy to her rapid-fire internal monologues, her self-deprecating humor, her often wildly inaccurate assumptions about Josh. This immersion makes our re-evaluation of Josh parallel Lucy's. It creates this powerful sense of complicity and makes his eventual reveal all the more impactful because we've been precisely in her limited but utterly charming world. Her inner dialogue, filled with doubts and evolving observations, allows us to directly witness her journey of reconciliation. It makes the reader feel like a co-discoverer of Josh's true self. It amplifies the aha moment because we've been just as invested in her initial flawed understanding.
Then there's the crucial theme of self-worth. We see Lucy's journey to understand that being nice isn't the same as being confident or capable. How does her professional ambition intertwine with her personal growth here? It's not just about finding love, it's about finding herself in the process, becoming the person she was meant to be.
Lucy's professional ambition is absolutely inextricably linked to her personal growth. Her initial desire to be liked, to avoid confrontation, to be nice. It stemmed from a deeper lack of self-worth and confidence in her own abilities, particularly in a competitive professional environment. The COO promotion storyline forces her to confront these insecurities head-on. To truly compete for the role, she can't just be nice. She has to be assertive, competent, willing to stand her ground. Her journey to stepping into her own power professionally culminating in delivering that impressive pitch is a direct reflection of her internal growth in recognizing her own intrinsic value, independent of others' opinions or whether she's seen as agreeable. Her romantic breakthrough with Josh, where she learns to trust and be vulnerable, parallels her professional breakthrough, where she learns to trust her own capabilities and embrace her ambition without apology. One truly empowers the other, creating this holistic character arc.
And underlying all of this, the true core message, emotional vulnerability. The book so beautifully underscores how profound love often begins only when individuals are willing to let down their defenses, to show their messy, imperfect, true selves. It's such a powerful takeaway that transcends the romance genre.
It is the absolute heart of the story. Lucy and Josh spent so much time and energy building and maintaining their emotional walls, using the hating game as their elaborate defense mechanism. The book meticulously shows that true connection, true love cannot flourish behind those barriers. It requires both parties to take the profound risk of revealing their authentic selves, flaws and all, and trusting the other with their deepest feelings and fears. It's a testament to the idea that real intimacy is built on shared vulnerability, not guarded perfection. The narrative argues convincingly that the pain of potential rejection is often far less significant than the pain of perpetual loneliness and unexpressed emotion. They had to learn that vulnerability isn't a weakness, but the very foundation of deep, meaningful connection.
And none of this would land as powerfully without Sally Thorne's fantastic writing style. It's described as witty, fast-paced, and that's immediately apparent from the first page, drawing you in instantly.
Her writing really shines through the sharp banter and the heartfelt introspection. The dialogue truly crackles with chemistry, even when it's antagonistic. You can feel the energy between them in every exchange, the subtext heavy with unspoken longing, even during insults. And as we discussed, the impact of Lucy's first-person POV is immense, giving readers full access to her hilarious inner monologue and emotional roller coaster. Her internal thoughts are often just as entertaining and insightful as the actual dialogue, giving us a front-row seat to her evolving perceptions and blossoming feelings.
We've got a couple of example lines here that really showcase this. The first one, as Lucy's perception evolves, perfectly illustrates her internal conflict. He's not the devil, he's just a man. Strange one, a good one.
Hmm.
You can feel her internal conflict, her surprise, the way she's grappling with this new reality of Joshua.
That line perfectly encapsulates the profound shift in her understanding. It's a concise demonstration of the perception versus reality theme, showing her mind actively working through the dissonance between her established negative view of Josh and the surprising new information she's gathering. It's both witty in its abruptness and deeply introspective in its questioning, marking a real turning point in her emotional journey.
And then this one, showing the depth of emotion that eventually blossoms, moving far beyond simple office romance. I want to know what it's like to love someone so much that they become the air you breathe. That's a powerful line. It really conveys the longing and the intensity of feeling, a yearning for a soul-deep connection.
It really does. That line is a testament to the profound emotional depth that develops over the course of the story. It speaks to a deep yearning for a transformative, all-encompassing love, the kind that becomes essential to one's very existence. It reflects Lucy's journey from guarded amusement to a desire for truly profound, life-altering connection, elevating the romance beyond just a charming office comedy into something much more resonant.
So if we pull all of this together, what's the winning formula? Why does the hating game just work so incredibly well, solidifying its place as a contemporary romance classic?
It's a combination of several perfectly aligned factors, I think. First, and paramount, is the dialogue that just crackles with undeniable chemistry. Every line of banter, every sharp retort is infused with that underlying tension and attraction. It makes their verbal sparring a joy to read. Second, the realistic emotional pacing, that deliberate, satisfying slow burn, is crucial. They don't just fall in love overnight. Their relationship evolves naturally, building anticipation and making the eventual payoff incredibly satisfying and believable. Third, Joshua Templeman himself is a key ingredient. He's one of those irresistible love interests in contemporary fiction because he embodies that perfect blend of initial intensity, hidden kindness, and ultimate unwavering devotion that he eventually demonstrates.
Definitely a fan favorite.
Oh, for sure. Finally, the office setting adds such realistic tension and stakes. It provides this grounded, everyday backdrop for their high-stakes emotional journey, making their story feel relatable and their transformation even more impactful amidst the pressures of a competitive professional world. It all blends together to create a truly immersive and emotionally intelligent experience.
It really feels like Thorne has set a new benchmark for the genre, doesn't it? What specific elements elevate it to that masterpiece status for you?
For me, it's the meticulous psychological realism she imbues into her characters. She doesn't just give them quirks, she gives them deeply rooted emotional histories that explain their behaviors. The hating game isn't just a gimmick, it's a coping mechanism, a defense. And the journey they take isn't just about falling in love, but about dismantling those defenses. That level of character work, combined with her sharp wit and genuine heart, elevates it far beyond just a fun read. It's a study in human vulnerability and connection.
So we've journeyed through the world of Lucy Hutton and Joshua Templeman, from their daily hating game to the profound realization that their animosity was nothing more than a carefully constructed shield for deeper emotions and an undeniable connection. It's a story that starts with playful workplace rivalry and blossoms into something truly tender and transformative.
The hating game is undeniably more than just a witty enemies-to-lovers romance. It's a compelling exploration of how people often hide behind elaborate personas in games, terrified to be vulnerable, convinced that protection is more important than connection. Lucy and Josh's romance teaches us that true connection often lies on the other side of that fear, where sincerity triumphs over superficiality and true selves are finally embraced.
Which leaves us with a provocative thought for you, the listener. If the hating game was simply a shield for Lucy and Josh, a way to protect their vulnerable hearts from potential hurt, what games might you be playing in your own life? What invisible shields might you be holding up to protect yourself from vulnerability, whether in relationships, at work, or in pursuit of your ambitions? And what profound connections, what deeper self-discoveries might you gain by courageously letting those games go? Think about it. The reward might just be worth the risk.